What up? What up? Welcome back to the channel. I'm J and we're locked in. This is day 7, episode 7 of the 8-day recap of Them Season 2 on Amazon Prime. The title of episode 7 is called One of Us is Going to Die Tonight, and the description is straight and to the point. Evil comes home to roost. Now, if you know anything about this series so far, everything is evil. And when it comes home to roost, that means it's probably going to be up in Don's house. But before we jump into this and we break down this episode, if you like the Them series, if you like breakdowns, recaps, you just want to hear somebody talk about TV shows and make it interesting where you can understand, then hit your subscribe button and turn on your notification bell so you get something every time I upload. Make sure you hit that like button, and I'm on that road to 50,000 subscribers, so I appreciate all of y'all. And don't forget, we started off with 5,000 subscribers on season 1 of Them, and look at us. 3 years later, we almost at 50. But hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. This is the recap for episode 7. One of us is going to die tonight. Episode 7 starts off right after they got Kale up off the floor of the gymnasium after what would have been a beautiful, beautiful concert. Well, Grandma was downstairs in the basement, and you got to remember this is 91. She has the old Tide box with the powder in it, where you used to take a scoop, and she's doing it old-fashioned way. Instead of one scoop, she's just pouring half a box in there because there's a lot of blood on this uniform. Now, while she's down here washing clothes, you can already sense that things aren't right. It's raining outside, the lights are dim, and we know whenever it's raining, the most dangerous places in horror films are the bathroom, the kitchen, the basement, and the attic. And where is she at? In the basement washing clothes. Now upstairs, we see Athena is in the kitchen, and it looks like she's making some tomato soup because it appears that Kale has a fever or a cold, but right now, we're not too sure what's really going on with him. They probably should have went to the hospital after what we've seen in that gymnasium. But she's getting this tomato soup together, and I've never been a fan of it, but I guess it actually works. Campbell's, Don is asking Kale, is everything all right? And he's saying, nah, Mom, I'm cold. I don't know what's going on. But it was just me, and there was something. I don't know what it was, but there was something in the gymnasium. And no one could see it but me. Until you showed up, I was nervous, I was scared, I couldn't move, I couldn't get away. Now Don is asking, okay, what did they look like? And the only thing he can really describe is that this individual, this monster, whatever it is, had red hair. Remember, the girl said it had red hair. Little Benny said it had red hair. Dawn goes to her room and she gets a phone call from Corey. Corey is her ex-husband. Corey, he showed up, and right now he's just checking on her because she has this case where the investigation was going down on potentially being the one that got rid of Benny. And he's just saying, hey, tell Kale I love him. Tell him I'm going to show up tomorrow and I'm going to see him ASAP. Now, Dawn is hearing this and she doesn't have anyone in her corner because at this point, it would be a bad idea to be seen around Reggie, even though that she called it off with Reggie. But since he's one of the lawyers that's at the police department, one of the prosecutors, they definitely can't be seen. But Corey, he wants to come and see his son. Grandma makes it upstairs to Kale's room, and she has this tomato soup, some toast, and it looks like some OJ. And she's saying, Kale, wake up. Grandma's world famous tomato soup. You need to get some of this in your system. But Kale is saying, just leave it on the table, Grandma. I'll get it in a minute. Because right now he probably has the shivers. His body is cold. It's shutting down on him. She's like, no, Corey, you need to eat some of this tomato soup. They show Corey and then they show Grandma again, but it ain't Grandma. Whatever it was in this gymnasium with the red hair is in the doorway. Come on, Corey. You gonna eat your cornbread? You gonna eat this tomato soup? It'll warm your bones. Now, Kale, he loses it, just like any of us would have. Even me, I would have been, I probably would have been out that window because there ain't no way out of this door. And this dude looks like somebody even I wouldn't be able to fight. This guy with the red hair, he pulls up on Kale. He's telling him, eat your fucking tomato soup, nigga. Corey wakes up and it looks like yarn is everywhere. And out of his mouth, he's just pulling yarn, pulling yarn, pulling yarn. He is spooked. Let me tell you, this has to be some of the weirdest, wildest stuff that could potentially be going on for a high schooler. And remember, he ain't on that weed right now. This is him just being sick. Don runs into the room. What's going on? Kale is in here. He's scared. Corey's probably still on the phone, like, I'm probably not gonna come over there now with all this yelling and screaming. He's talking about he had red hair. He got so close to me, but he sounded like grandma. Then grandma comes upstairs and she's like, what's going on? Kale loses it. Grandma, stay away from me. Get the fuck away from me. Now we're looking at it. The first one wasn't really grandma. Remember, grandma originally was doing the laundry. Then we seen the grandma making tomato soup. So whoever this thing is with the red hair, it's a shapeshifter because it turned into grandma and told him to eat your fucking soup. Grandma was down in the basement and out of nowhere, what did she see? The same toy that got her fired, Raggedy Andy. Now she sees it on the floor out of nowhere, just like we seen those pills on the ground, and she does what none of us would have done. She touches the Raggedy Andy doll. She touches it, she gets spooked, and then she starts hearing some stuff. She looks over, the dryer is acting a fool. The spin cycle is 10 times spinning faster than what it's supposed to be spinning. She dips up the stairs now. She's not running very fast because she's grandma, but she gets the hell up out of here. She gets back to the room. Don, there's someone in the basement. Oh, Lord, there's someone in the basement. Don tells him, all right, get in here, lock the door. You stay with Kale, even though Kale don't like you right now. You stay with Kale, lock the door. She goes into her room. She got that spare gun. Remember, the job took her badge and her gun during this investigation. Now she gets hers and she's going all around the house, but she doesn't see anything. But we start to hear her tape recorder play. It's only in your imagination. It's an imaginary friend. It's an imaginary friend. It's an imaginary friend. Imaginary friend. The tape cassette, rewinding and saying imaginary friend, rewinding, imaginary friend, imaginary friend. That would have been enough for me to tell everyone to get in the vehicle and we're leaving this house. I probably would have shot this tape recorder and then we would all gather our stuff and got up out of here. But right now, they're just, I guess they're lost for words. They really don't have anywhere to go. Dawn hears this imaginary friend. So she goes to her mom, Athena, and says, Mom, what is this about imaginary friend? And she admits that, remember when she went into the office and she seen the picture of Bernice Mott when she was up under the sink? Well, now we get the backstory of what actually happened with Dawn. Well, Dawn used to live with Bernice Mott. We found that out through the police during the investigation. But Edmund was her twin. These two were inseparable. And whenever you split them up, Edmund would just cry and cry and cry. And it turns out one day, Athena and Don came back to the house, and this is the day that their father passed away. And we see young Edmund sitting down on the floor right next to him with the medicine. Now, at this point, Athena is a single mother trying to raise these two kids, and Edmund was a handful. We heard how he was with his fight adopted family. He just couldn't adapt, but that's because he was away from Dawn. So she turned him back over to Bernice Mott. He lived and grew up in that house, and it makes sense of why he acts the way he does and saying, Don, you always had a family. I never had any of this. That's his twin, and he had to go live with Bernice Mott. Don calls up Diaz. Diaz has been working closely with her, and even though she's under investigation, he's doing whatever he can to help out. Now she's saying, I need the files from Child Protective Services. I have a twin brother, and we hear Diaz disclose the information we didn't know he even had. He says, I know. I didn't want to tell you this, but it's unfortunate in these circumstances. Your twin brother, he passed away 2 years ago. So Don is thinking, 2 years ago? Wait a minute. This isn't making sense at all. When Don goes back to the room to check on Kale, because it's been a long night and we really shouldn't be leaving anyone in a room by themselves, take Kale to your room because you have a phone in there. She looks at him, he's asleep. She closes the window, but when she gets ready to walk out, Kale sits up. Did you have fun fucking him? Is he better than Dad? And we're looking at Kale. What the hell is he talking about? But he's talking about Reggie. But this ain't the real Kale. Don is seeing things, and we don't really know who is who or what is what at this point. But Kale, was it good? Did he have good D? We're like, whoa. This is a little this is a little awkward here. But Don, if I was her and I had that gun, pop, 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 that probably would have been the end of Kale. But luckily, it wasn't the real Kale. She was just seeing things, and Kale was actually in the closet, locked in there, trying to get up out of there. So whatever this person is, this thing, is it Edmund? Is it Raggedy Andy? We don't know for sure. But whatever it is, we got to give it an A+ in playing mind games. Athena ends up getting a phone call from her supervisor. If you remember, she was let go because she threw away thousands of dollars worth of merchandise with the Raggedy Andy dolls because she felt like it was racist and no one was really going to buy it. But once she gets this phone call from her supervisor, she's saying, "Hey, I made a mistake. Why don't you come on down to the store tonight and let you and I talk about this?" Now, one thing is raining outside. If you know me, I don't maneuver during the rain. Two, whatever you need to tell me tonight, if it's not that important, you can tell me over the phone. And three, if it's about getting my job back, I'll be at work Monday. I'm gonna take the weekend to myself, and I'll be back Monday at 8 o'clock, maybe 8:30, because you need me more than I need you. But Athena, she agrees to go down to the job. When she gets down there, she has a Raggedy Andy doll in her hand. Now it's dark as hell in here, and if I would have showed up and the lights were off, then I wouldn't have went in there. I would have just went back home. We'll link up some other time. But as she walks down the aisles, out of nowhere, we see a hand come from behind the other aisle, and it's William, her husband, and he's crawling over to her with her pills, the same pills that Edmund was holding. Maybe if he would have got a hold of them, he wouldn't have had the heart attack and passed away because we know that runs in the REEVE bloodline. But he hands the pills over to Athena, and we know that her hands are a little shaky and she can't get them open. Then everything goes red. And at the end of the hallway, in all red, is the man with the red hair. From a distance, he doesn't look that scary. But out of nowhere, he starts running towards Athena. And when I tell you he starts whooping her ass, you see the owls start to close in. And now they're in like a little makeshift boxing ring. And he's throwing her from side to side. She does elbow him. She potentially gets away. Elbow to gut. But I told you guys when we first seen him, elbow to gut won't work on something like this. And the last thing we see in this toy store is Athena's body walking forward like a chicken with his head cut off. Maybe 5, 6 steps, drops to the knees, the body just flops. Decapitation. It's ugly, but it's all red in here. And red must be stop. It's the end of the road. The police show up to Don's house, even though all of this stuff has been going on, and they give her the news. You need to go down to this toy store. It isn't looking good for your mother, Athena. She hops in the whip. She drives down there, her and Kale. It's raining outside, and when they get there, it's devastating what they see inside this window. Now, Kale doesn't come over here, but when Don sees it, even though she was mad at Athena, at this point, you gotta feel some hurt. Athena's head is just laying on the ground, sitting there. We don't know where the body is, but at least they got an alibi and they were at the house when the police showed up. This is going to be hard to explain, but there's a lot going on, and we got one more episode. All right, there you go. The recap for episode 7 of Them Season 2. Let's get the conversation started. Let me know if you were one-on-one with the guy with the red hair at the toy store. Would you have been able to make it out of there alive? Or would your fate have been sealed just like Athena's? Let me know what you think. I'm ODIJ. We got 1 day left on the 8-day recap of Them Season 2. I appreciate you guys for sticking in there with me. We did Season 1. Here we are with Season 2. I'm on that road to 50,000 subscribers. So if I said something to make you think, or you just like these breakdowns, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Thanks for watching. I'm out.